Howdy, y'all. Caleb here, and we've got some points for Seraphon. We saw last week the points for the new Battle Scroll update dropped. We saw them leaked everywhere, all over the internet. So you've probably already seen these at this point. I've given plenty of time, so now it's time for us to cover them. um, Unfortunately, it's not all great news for Seraphon. We see our points are being increased on quite a few things that we use a lot. Some people might call that a nerf. um, we'll see. We're gonna go through these here. Each unit. Look at what increased, what didn't increase, and what went down. I think it's important to note that we know our new battle tome is on the horizon. It's coming. But we are going to have to play a couple months at these new higher price points in this new GHB. So we've seen the new GHB that's coming up here real soon has a focus on small foot heroes, and we'll see some of those points have gone up. You're going to need those to score objectives, to score battle tactics. So those are going to be important. But as far as our points go, we're going to have to stick it out until our battle tome comes. We don't know if these are kind of point increases to looking forward towards our battle tome, or this is just a band-aid until our new stuff comes out. Either way, we're going to get to play with these new points, and it's going to cause us to redo some of our lists. So starting off here, I put the old points in that second column, the new points in the third column, what the change is on points, and then a percentage change, because I think that's kind of important to see how much did this change versus its actual cost. So we'll start off with the Battletome with Ark of Sotek. Had the largest point increase percentage-wise. It was 165, which is very cheap for a monster that has a 1-up save. Now, the Battletome with Ark of Sotek, that's the Snake's Battletome, does pretty much no damage. You'll sneak in a couple mortals here with this thing, but not a whole lot, to be honest. It's there as a roadblock. So 165 was cheap. It is now up 15 points to 180. That does make it a little bit more expensive. It is going to vie for some of those other spots for what you're using your points with. But more importantly, a lot of the lists it goes into, we're seeing a lot of points increase across the board. So 15 points on this thing does make a difference when we're talking about all our other increases as well. We're going to see a lot of skink increases here, unfortunately. And this is just one of the first ones. I do want to point out that it appears GW is getting rid of all the 5-point increments. So if we had a unit that had a 5-point increment on it, it's either going up or down. Unfortunately, a lot of our stuff goes up. A lot of stuff that we used. Some of them more than just 5 points. And so I think if they thought that it was being used a little bit too much in a strong list, maybe they pushed their thumb on that up button a few extra times to get it up more than just 5 points. So that was one of them. It was going to get a change. It went up 15 points. The next one is Skink Star Priest. It gets another price increase. It went up not too long ago. So the Skink Star Priest goes from 130 up to 140. So another increase here. And this is a 8% increase, 10 points. That thing just keeps climbing. It is a foot hero, and so I think you are going to see it played in this new GHB because you do need these foot heroes, these unnamed foot heroes. And so maybe I think they're just adjusting these foot heroes up or down depending on whether or not they're used a lot right now, and they're thinking they're going to get better. This Skink Star Priest is so easy to kill. He was already priority target number 1 in our lists. Now he's even more of a priority target because of the Galatian champion. So more expensive, 10 more points, and even more valuable to either get killed or stay alive. So a tough increase there. Next one, Salamander Hunting Pack. Again, went up 10 points. This one, I think they're at a point where they were fine. They're in every list because it's one of our only ways to get -2 rend. And especially in Starborn lists, you almost have to have a Salamanders in it to get some good rend on the shooting there. But they go up another 10 points to 150 for each one, and you're gonna reinforce those. You usually bring 2 units, depending on what your loadout is. So you're increasing a list points quite a bit. And we also have Skinks. They are going up 5 points to 80. So they were at 75, so they can't stay at that 5-point increment, so they're going up to 80. Just those ones right there, we're increasing a list by almost 100 points. You're talking about at least one Star Priest, a couple units of Salamanders, and then at least 50 Skinks in a list, and you've lost 100 points right there. We're due to our last increase. I found myself getting rid of all my endless spells. Now I've got to start making some hard choices here on what's getting dropped just to make up for the point increases. Rough stuff here, guys. Next one is Engine of the Gods, goes up 15 points. This one, I would be fine with. It's a very valuable piece, especially over in Thunder Lizard. That's where you find this normally. Engine of the God does a lot of stuff. Has a lot of uses. It's tough to bring down. It has some unique abilities. Albeit they're random, but they are quite useful. And it can do a little bit in melee if you put all the right buffs into it. So that one goes up 15 points. Stegodon with Skink Chief. This one, it goes up 15 points at 320. At 320, I feel like it may not make my list now, especially with some of these other point increases. I may downgrade the Stegodon Chief. I may not take him. 320, even though that sounds goofy, 15 points will make a difference. It just hurts so bad that he only has -1 rend. When you send him into something, you want him to kill it, especially at 320 points. He can kill off things that don't have great armor saves, but if you can't send him into anything that has a good armor save, he just doesn't have enough rend to deal with it. And you've got to put all your buffs into it. You're talking 320 points now, and you've got to put all of your army's buffs into this unit to send it in. Man, getting more and more hard to justify that one. I still love it. Stegageddon is my default army build. So, man. Next one, another Skink unit. Chameleon Skinks goes up 5 points to 120. This makes me even less likely to bring Chameleon Skinks versus the new Hunters of Huanchi, whatever it is. The new Warcry Warband. Because they are only 10 points more expensive now and do more. So I think Chameleon Skinks are not going to see the table at 120 versus the Warcry Warband. Source Guard going up 5 points. This just hurts us into the same type of build where we're every single unit we're taking is going up at least 5 points. So Guard going up 5 points. A Basilodon with Solar Engine goes up 10. That's rough. Like, Basilodon is 260. Does an average of 4 damage. From range, granted. Has a great save. I'm not saying it's not worth 260. It's just with all this other stuff, it just hurts. So, all of these units right here. Look at this. We have... all of those units are units that are pretty much always taken in our list, and they're all going up 5 to 15 points. That's not a lot taken in a vacuum, but when you add it all together, you're gonna have to you're dropping stuff from your list, so you're gonna have to make some hard choices here. These next ones are kind of goofy. We have a Source Eternity Warden going up 5. That should have dropped 5, to be honest. The Eternity Warden is terrible, but I think you're gonna see it. You may see it played now that we have to play these unnamed foot heroes in the new GHB. So you're looking, they do have a 3-up save. You have a decent number of wounds. In Thunder Lizard and Kotal's Claw, they'll be -1 damage, so they can be fairly tough to kill as far as these foot heroes go. And so we're going to have to play one of these, or 2 of them. Eternity Warden, Sunblood, or Old Blood. The Eternity Warden and Sunblood both went up to 130. The Old Blood down here is at 120. So depending on your points, I think I would still rather take the Eternity Warden or the Sunblood over the Old Blood. But if you're skimping for 10 points, then you may go with the Old Blood as we're going on a new GHB. So you see a lot of these foot heroes are going up in points. Starseer, which was a great piece. I started playing the Starseer even more so than the Star Priest here in the past month or so, just because of its utility and giving -1 rend to things, or -1 to the save to enemy units. But but very easy to kill, going up to 150. Still pulls its weight, but just makes it a little bit harder to make those lists. Ashworth Bear going up another 5 points. It's already increased in points over the last couple of rounds of point increases. This one is it's still going to be in our list because you have to take the Ashworth Banner Bear, especially with Croak or the Slan. I mean, you just have to. Now it's going to count as a Galatian champion, so it will help us out with those battle tactics and things. But another 5-point increase there. A Slan going up 5 points. I'm okay with that. 290. You know, it's almost 300 points for a very squishy hero. It is going to count as a Galatian champion, so you can use it in those cases. I find he either gets shot or he doesn't off the board. I don't think that's going to change in the new GHB. If somebody has the Sharpshooters Battalion, they'll shoot off your heroes, and Slan will be one of them. So those are our increases. All of these guys, other than these two Saurus heroes, you see all these things on the table. This is like they took every unit that's in basically all of our lists and just up 5 points. So I think it's going to make a difference. I think you'll see our win percentage come down some. Just in total, all of these units are used. And so you're talking about 100 to 150 points that your list is going to go up. So start building those lists with some cushion right now. The things that didn't change, I was glad to see some of these things that didn't change. The hunters with bolas stayed at 90. I think that's good. They're a very cheap unit that we can deep strike, and that is going to be pretty useful still in this new GHB. We still have desecrate their lands, which we'll need these for. I think they might also be useful for deep striking with a foot hero to make it to where the foot hero can't be shot. So keep that in mind. You can deep strike this with a Galatian champion. There's a Galatian champion. We'll talk about this as we get into the GHB. There's a command trait or an artifact. I can't quite remember which one. That allows a Galatian champion to be able to deep strike, and so the hunters can go in with them. That'll be a real nice combo. Kroxagor stayed at 150. Yes. I mean, even though they're not the best unit in our list here, they're a lot of fun. So Kroxagor stayed there. Croak stayed at 450. I think you're not going to see Croak as much. Already he was getting shot quite a bit. And without the benefit of being a Galatian champion, he's still going to get shot a lot. So I think we're going to end up Slan is going to see more use than Croak right now. Knights stayed at 110. I'm happy to see that. Knights are still very good. So I think we may see some more lists with Knights in them. With Skinks going up, this may incentivize Knight play a little bit more. The Old Blood stays at 120. Still not going to do any damage, but he's going to play into the Galatian champions. Source Scarvet on Cold One stays 110. Useful if you're using Knights. That's just about it. He doesn't count as a Galatian champion, so not going to be a whole lot of use in this new GHB. Skink Oracle on Troglodon still should have come down some more points, but stayed at 250. Really should have dropped some more. Skink Priest at 120. Still so expensive for the Skink Priest. For so weak. Such a weak character. If there wasn't a Sharpshooters Battalion, I'd happily pay 120 for this Skink Priest, because you could make it to where he can't get shot. But with this Sharpshooters Battalion, the Skink Priest is still going to get sniped right off the board real quick. Stegodon stayed at 270. So some of these units you see in very specific lists. You know, Knights, Kroxagor, Stegodons. You see these in some not competitive lists, but some fun lists. And so I'm glad they didn't go up in points. Here's what went down in points, and I think we have some interesting ones here. We have the Hunters with Dart Pipes down 5 points to 130. So now these are basically the Chameleon Skinks, but they have a alpha, and they have that special ability where you can't target them if you're not within 12 of them, and they're all, near terrain. So a very cool unit, and much more useful, I think, than the Chameleon Skinks, especially at 130. That's only 10-point different. I will happily pay that for these guys here as soon as mine come in. I had to order some off eBay because they're not sold in a separate pack yet. Source Old Blood on Carnosaur came down 10 points. Probably not quite enough, especially in this new GHB where there's not a whole lot for these heroes on monsters to do, especially if you get a cheaper one on Carnosaur, which we'll look at here in just a second. Razordons went down 5 points. Maybe there's some. I don't know anybody who's playing Razor Dons. I've got 4 of them over there on my shelf, but I don't know who's playing Razor Dons nowadays. They could have gone down another 20 points, and I'm not sure you would play them. Maybe you could put them in like the sharpshooter battalion so you could shoot heroes with them, but they don't have enough range for that, so I'm not sure what you would do with them. Source Warriors went down 5 points. That kind of helps maybe with some list building on increases, maybe if you were up a couple of points up above. But in all honesty, Source Warriors just aren't very good, especially if you don't have the Bonds of Brotherhood. There is a battalion you can take now that gives them that, where they can fight in ranks, but really the Warriors are going to be a tough sell right now. Pterodon Riders, not really all that good. Went down 5 points. That's good. Ripperdactyls went down 5 points also. Again, these are things that aren't really ever played, and 5 points isn't going to make a difference in them, to be honest. They need a War Scroll rewrite. So we're looking forward to these in the new battletome. Hopefully they'll get some love there. Terra Wings. Now, Terra Wings are interesting, and they will get played. They went down 5 points. And so that's nice to see them and the Hunters with Dart Pipes both go down 5 points. That makes a good combo that went down a total of 10 points. That's not a whole lot, but it's a little bit. It'll help a little bit. Terror Wings are going to be played. And so that means our Hunters with Bolas and Terror Wings, which is a good combo for deep striking 2 units together, is now a little bit cheaper. Here's here's a very interesting one. Saurus Scar Veteran on Carnosaur went down 15 points. Why this one went down 15 and the Old Blood only went down 10, I don't know. I felt like the Scar Veteran on Carnosaur was a decent deal at 215. Now at 200, when I saw that, I don't know. Maybe it's just something about the even number there, but I'm like, ooh, a Carnosaur at 200. Now, why am I excited about a Scarvet on Carnosaur at 200 when I'm not like crazy about the Bastiladon with Ark of Sotek at 180? That's 20 points different. They're both monsters that do almost no damage. Scar Veteran has a 4-up save. Bastiladon has a 1-up save. But occasionally the Scar Veteran on Carnosaur will pop off, and you'll get that. Even if it's a -1 Rin, you'll get some damage through, and that always feels good. But 200 for a Scar Veteran on Carnosaur is interesting. That could be cool. I would still much rather have it be a much more expensive point value and actually do damage. Have Rend. Give us Rend. Man. But 200 for a Scar Veteran on Carnosaur. I like that. That's fun. Starblood Stalkers down to 200. Again, you're probably not going to take it because it could be interesting if they weren't a uniquely named hero. Little warband, but unique because it does have two deep striking heroes. And if you could make those Galatian champions somehow, this could be an interesting unit, but you can't. So 200 points for that is I don't see them getting any play whatsoever in this new GHB unless they get a rewrite in the new tome. Ripperdactyl Chief down 10 points. Pterodon Chief down 10 points. Both of those, you're not going to see any play either, especially not in this edition where we need the heroes not on a mount. So overall, we're seeing a lot of increases, guys. A lot of our stuff is going up in points. The only thing interesting is the Hunters and Terror Wings down a few points and the Scar Veteran on Carnosaur down to a clean 200. Those are interesting, but other than that, we're taking a lot of hits. A lot of stuff is going up. But don't get discouraged. All right? Don't get discouraged, guys. This is still a fun game. We have a lot of list building to do, and you know what? The meta is about to get completely shaken up by this new GHB. We're about to enter like the Wild West here, where little heroes on foot are running all around the board, teleporting all over the place. So who knows what it's going to look like here in a few months. Until then, let's hope and wish for our Battletome, and we'll see you next time, guys.